Hello everybody. Welcome to this week of Wednesday Night Dash presented by Stadium Scene TV. Tonight we have the Brickyard 100 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Speedway, Indiana. Let's take a quick peek at Indianapolis Motor Speedway here. The racetrack opened in 1909. It is 2.5 miles long with 9.2 degrees of banking. Session rules for today: we have a 40-minute practice, 5-minute open or closed qualification, and 40 laps with a competition yellow at lap 20. Let's take a look at the driver's points real quick. We have a new driver joining the series. Chris Hughes will be driving the number 68 machine. So welcome him to the league. He is also entered as a partnership driver with Colton Gardner, and they have formed the team Smoky Mountain Racing. And speaking of Colton Gardner, Colton is still leading the points right now, but only 12 points separates second through fourth. Real quick, let's take a look at our schedule for the rest of the season. The season is winding down. It is already week 7, which is kind of crazy. This season has flew by very, very quickly. But obviously tonight we are rounding out February strong at Indianapolis. Then next week to Texas. Then we go to Dover Motor Speedway, and then we close out the season at Kansas at night. It's going to be really fun, so keep an eye out. And after season 8 is over, the next season is going to be kicking off on April 17th at Pocono Raceway. We will be in the trucks. You guys can take a look there. It'll be Pocono, Atlanta, Daytona, Gateway, New Hampshire, Homestead, Sonoma, Michigan, Charlotte, and Las Vegas. It's going to be a very, very fun season in those trucks. Now we have something kind of cool happening. Let's go back and take a look at the points once again. We have some teams forming in our league. So the admins are thinking about maybe adding a team points standings as well as driver points standings, but nothing is official just yet. Right now, the current official teams is FR Racing. That is Eric Richardson in the number 13 and DJ Fluck in the number 88. JM Motorsports is John Miles in the number 54 machine, Lane Snow in the number 9 machine, and Jax Milan in the number 5 machine. WJ Mulfield Motorsports has Fernando Takahashi in the number 99, coming off of that win last week at Charlotte, and Bill Mulfield in the number 911. And I said early Smoky Mountain Racing has Colton Gardner in the number 40 and Chris Hughes in the number 68. There's a couple single car teams. Dylan Barons Racing has Dylan Barons in the number 1 machine, and Koopa's Racing has Mark Willett in the number 80. Let's give some love to our friends at the House of Hockey podcast. On this week's House of Hockey, Ray is joined by guest host Joe Cangelosi, a former professional hockey player who most recently played for the Carolina Thunderbirds of the FPHL. Joe and Ray discussed the frenzy of fighting last week in multiple games, a player's contract being terminated for a troubling social media post, and Austin Matthews reaching 50 goals this season. Tune in Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern for House of Hockey right here on Stadium Scene TV. Qualifying is underway here. As we're seeing the drivers take to the racetrack. Let's see if anybody's rocking some new paint schemes. Chris Hughes, brand new to the league, is running the Country Time yellow and pink Ford Mustang. Dark Horse. Yeah, that bright yellow color will sure stand out amongst the other cars. Like John Miles has got a paint scheme for this week. Trying to get a close look at it. Looks like Lake Room with a nice blue, white, and some red accents. Looks pretty good right now. Colton Gardner is sitting. Like we have about 10 drivers here tonight. A couple drivers still needing to qualify. Everybody is starting to finish up their times now. How are you all doing this fine Wednesday night? Always a fun time to get here and get on some iRacing. We got a couple of seconds until we're about to roll out. About to end now. Good up already. Right now, as they run, we have Ian Miller on pole and Colton Gardner running P2. Then we have Chris Hughes running P3 and Lane Snow running P4. Good run for him. Then we have Brian McKinney sitting P5 and Dylan Behrens sitting P6. Coming in P7, we have John Miles, and P8 is DJ Fluck. Mark Willett rolls off P9, and Bill Mulfield rolls off P10. It looks like he didn't submit a qualifying time, but I know that Mark Willett was pretty fast in practice, so we'll see what he can do in the race. 10 drivers here tonight. As we're waiting for everybody just to grid up. Let's see if we can dial up that number 48 of Ian Miller real quick. Ian.
3 cars.
Ian, it's Hunter in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. You put it on pole once again this week. You trying to get some redemption for the Roval last week?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'd love to do that. You know, it's my home track, so hopefully that seems to have brought some extra time with me.
I know you were one of the drivers that is doing the double. You ran the IndyCar, the IRWS race last night.
Yes, I did.
These cars don't really translate, but were you able to pick up anything from last night that you'll use today?
Yeah, that it's a fuel race. This is one of the few tracks this season where it looks like we'll actually need to fuel. So if I can cut that out somehow from the lead, then that would be awesome.
All right, man. Will you have a good race today?
Yeah, you too, man.
As I mentioned during that, yesterday was the IRWS Indy Racing League here also at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We had a handful of our drivers running in that, the Wednesday Night Dash regulars, as well as myself. I ran in it and got a top 5. Honestly, had a chance to fight for the win, but made a bad fuel call, made a bad fuel strategy, and kind of threw it away there. But the drivers come off turn number 4. Pace car is getting ready to make that sharp left turn onto the safety of pit road. Ian Miller, your control car. And the green flag is out here at Indianapolis. Ian Miller gets a really good jump there on Colton Gardner as they head towards turn 1. They're side by side for P3, P4, P5, and P6. Still there side by side as they roll through and go to turn 2. Getting single file. Whoa! Chris Hughes gets way loose, but is able to keep that car alive. Is going to lose maybe a handful of positions, but is able to keep that thing rolling strong. Looking back up front, Colton Gardner putting the pressure on Ian Miller, but Lane Snow is right there sitting in P3, able to pounce if there is a mistake. What happened with these drivers? Ian Miller leads off lap 1 as we got a side-by-side battle back in the back between Chris Hughes and John Miles. Chris Hughes not having the debut that he would want to have as of right now. It's awfully loud at the moment. Apologies for that. These drivers are still running right in line. Lane Snow runs up really wide, and that's going to open the door for Brian McKinney. These two are going to be side by side. Brian McKinney's going to get the move as Lane Snow is going to make the crossover. And here comes Dylan Behrens down the inside of Lane Snow and is going to try and make a move also on Brian McKinney. Move Lane Snow up to that 5th place, or Dylan Behrens to that 4th place position. A good run by Brian McKinney getting up to position 3. Colton Gardner not letting Ian Miller run away with it. Colton Gardner still sitting underneath a 1/10 of a second. He's going to make the move to the inside. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers can manipulate the dirty air and can manipulate riding directly behind a car. On some tracks it's helpful, on some tracks it actually hurts you. Whoa, Lane Snow goes way to the inside there, goes to by the pit wall. He pulls a Joseph Newgarden move, going way down below pit entry and then shooting right back across the track. Looking back in the back of the pack, Mark Willett and DJ Fluck are having a bit of a fun battle. Bill Mulfield seems to be charging up right now. Started at position 10 and is already up to 7th place. Currently the highest gain of positions so far. In the race. Looking at these two, Dylan Behrens and Brian McKinney. Indianapolis is such a huge racetrack that you really need to be in somebody's draft. Be able to save fuel, to be able to save tires. You need to have somebody right next to you, like within a half a second of you. So you're kind of seeing these groups form. You're seeing Ian Miller and Colton Gardner, and then you're seeing McKinney, Behrens, and then Snow is kind of by himself at the moment, but then you see Miles and Molefield running close together. And Brian McKinney, actually, Dylan Behrens gets around the outside of Brian McKinney. Something you don't really see too often here at Indianapolis. People making passes on the outside line. Usually, the inside line is the way to go. Again, back up front. Question is, does Colton Gardner push to pass Ian Miller, or is he just riding around there, you know, maybe saving some tires, saving some fuel? It is just the first half of this race, but there is extra points for winning at the stage break and leading the most laps. You know, Ian Miller really cranking up the heat this second half of the season. Had a good second place run last week at the Charlotte Roval. Starting off this race strong. And these two are still just duking it out. As we do see Chris Hughes now a lap down. He pit, and he's now back out onto the racetrack. You know, laps around here are about 53 seconds, so just shy of a minute per lap here at Indy. Let's take you along with the number 40 of Colton Gardner, as he's just kind of chilling behind the 48 right now. Now, it's very interesting to see the shifting here in these next-gen cars. You'll see the drivers shift up to 5th gear as they go down the straightaways, but then shift down to 4th gear as they roll through the corners. Some drivers believe that rolling around 5th is the best way to go. It probably saves their fuel more, but it's definitely quicker to shift to 4th, rolling through the turns. You can see the groups forming Kind of looks like a Car of Tomorrow era restrictor plate race with the 2-car tandem groups. Ten laps down in this first stage. Should see the competition yellow at lap 20. It's just going to be interesting to see in the second half of the race how these drivers are going to be able to adapt to maybe being more aggressive. Because right now we're just kind of seeing everybody chilling and not really doing a whole lot. You know, but I would think that as the race goes on, we're going to see some more aggressive moves, probably out of the number 40, but also the number 1 and 8. You got to watch them, because now what's happening is these drivers are finding the people that they can run with. So if it ends up being a situation where Colton Gardner has to either push the number 48 or the number 1, he's probably going to be put more willing to push the number 48 machine. So a race like this is all about finding your friends, as we're seeing a couple cars off the pace. Lane Snow seems very, very slow off the pace. If we can see what happened to the number 5. So it looks like he gets into turn 1. Looks like he just gets very, very tight and gets into the wall. Only a little lick, but his right front is hurting. But he's able to keep it rolling, and actually he gets into the wall again. He's probably going to want to take that thing down pit road. He's coming off of turn 4, so he's going to bring that down pit road and get a quick fast repair. So hopefully he won't lose a lap. We'll see. The leaders are going down the backstretch as of right now. And actually they're starting to race. You can tell that there's only about 7 laps until that stage break. Colton Gardner really pushing the issue. Trying to get around the 48 of Ian Miller. But Ian Miller doing an amazing job of holding off that number 40 machine. Ian Miller going to zigzag, trying to break the draft just a little bit. Able to keep it good so far. A bit of a dive coming from the number 40 as they go down into turn number 2. Number 40 just can't seem to find the way around. Oh, a bit of a mistake there by Colton Gardner. It looks like he hesitated, and he gets into the wall, but is able to keep it. A good bit of damage on the right front of that number 40 machine. Looked like he wanted to go. It looked like he wanted to go for a dive bomb, and then Ian Miller threw the block.
Expect unexpected.
Ian Miller threw the block. Can't go slow motion for some reason. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Ian Miller throws a bit of a block, and actually Colton Gardner kind of hits the brakes to try to not hit and wreck the 48, but that ultimately puts himself into the wall. He's able to keep it rolling, and it doesn't look like he's hurt too bad. But now he is just waiting for that stage break to come. The number 1 and the number 8 are still fighting pretty hard. Actually, I don't think they're fighting at all. I think they are just cruising. The number 8 looks really loose, though. But that gap to the number 40. The number 40 now has lost his drafting friend. But now I wonder if there is a bit of bad blood between the 48 and the 40 right now. Not sure if that was just a bad move on Colton Gardner's part, or if Ian Miller threw kind of a late block at the end there. It was a little hard to tell from that camera angle, so I don't want to throw shade on any one of these drivers. I know both of these drivers are very clean and respectful. They're both clean and respectful, so there was no malicious intent with that little bit of contact. I guess we would see after the race whether or not.
Lane, I'm about to lose my tires here, buddy. Why don't you come around me?
I forgot to mute my. One second, don't mind the noises, but I'm just gonna mute my iRacing voice chat. It's only about 3 laps to go until the stage break. As they run, Ian Miller out front, Colton Gardner in second, Dylan Behrens and Brian McKinney running P3 and P4. We have Lane Snow actually running P9, and then Bull Mulfield running P10. And these drivers are racing. Dylan Behrens gets around Brian McKinney. Actually, I think it was. And McKinney, though, looking to make get around that number 1 machine. And now we have Lane Snow, who is a lap down right now. He looks like he's on fresher tires and is clearly quicker than these two right here. It really looks like Brian McKinney's car is not driving the way he wants it to be, and it looks like he's really sending it into the corners. Oh, it looks like he got really loose as he exited turn 4. Lane Snow is going to take that opportunity. Looks like he's not going to try and fight this battle too hard because he is a lap down. McKinney looking to the outside. He's there. He's going to try a crossover move. He's going to get to the inside. Really, really smart move by Brian McKinney. They're still side by side. And then another crossover by the number 1. And isn't going to be able to get there. So move Brian McKinney back into that 3rd place spot. And just perfect timing as the yellow flag comes out for the stage break. Ian Miller is your stage 1 winner. Now we're going to see now as we come to the pit stop, we're going to see who is better at getting on a pit road and who's better at exiting pit road. You know, in the Indy cars that we ran last night, they have pit limiters, so you can just turn on your pit limiter and smash your gas all the way down and you'll be totally fine. But in these NASCAR next-gen cars, there is no pit limiter, so you have to be very, very careful about your pit road speed. And you have to make sure you don't speed, because the margin for error on pit road speed is not as big as a lot of people think. It's very, very easy to catch a pit road penalty for speeding, especially at a pit road that's this long. It's a long time of trying to maintain your designated pit road speed. Let's up to the pace car here. The iRacing Ford Mustang pace car. Okay, that's a... You know, I don't think a lot of people give enough credit to the pace car. iRacing workers working overtime all the time to bring you excellent pace car service. But here they come down pit road. Ian Miller is going to lead the whole field. Lane Snow is going to be your lucky dog candidate. I'll come down. Pylon is kind of in the way, but it looks like it'll be just good enough. I'll enter by one. Nobody's sliding through their box. Everybody has a really good entrance. Actually, the number 1 slid through his pit box just a bit. Tires going on. Still is not able to get into his pit box. The number 8 gets a really good launch. And the number 8 is actually going to leapfrog both the 48 and the 40. It's a really good pit stop by the number 8 of Brian McKinney. And he's going to be your leader as they come back around. Very, very good move by Brian McKinney. We see Lane Snow coming down pit road now. He was our lucky dog, so he took that wave around. It's gonna be on pit road. And it actually looks like John Miles still on pit road. Right, lights are out on the pace car. So that means 1 lap to go here. They're going to be 2 by 2. Brian McKinney, Ian Miller, Colton Gardner on the bottom, Bill Mulfield on the top in that second row, Dylan Behrens, and then Mark Willett, DJ Fluck, Chris Fuge, John Miles, and Lane Snow bring up the tail end of the field. Lane Snow's got a lot of work to do. I actually don't think he's going to be able to get around before they go green. Coming out of turn 4 now, but the field is just about to enter turn 3. We'll see if they can catch up. Let's see what Brian McKinney can do in the number 8 machine. First time he's seen the lead here at Indianapolis. Been quiet, kind of a quiet driver this season, but being consistent. So the pace car gets ready to take that sharp left-hand turn onto the safety of pit road. Brian McKinney, your control car for the start of this second half. And the green flag is back out. All the cars get a good jump. Here's where we're going to see it. Colton Gardner tight on the back of that number 8 machine. And Ian Miller fighting hard on the outside. He's not going to let Brian McKinney have this easily. Ian Miller making that high line work. And Brian McKinney had to check up just a tiny bit. Looks like he got just a hair loose. That's going to give the lead back to Ian Miller. And now Colton Gardner falling back to 4th place and is now under threat by Bill Mulfield. So Colton Gardner falling back to 4th place. Dylan Barron's really tight on the back end of Brian McKinney. See if he goes and tries to make a move here. Underneath. Almost thought about it, but pulled out at the last second. These drivers doing a good job of staying close together to start this second half off. Lorenz gets a good run. Brian McKinney going way low. Trying to make a move on Ian Miller once again. It's not going to make it work. Ian Miller's going to drive away, and that's going to put him under threat of the number 1 machine. Inside. The number 1. To the inside of the 8. It's going to be clear as they go off turn 4, and that's going to open the door for the number 40 of Colton Gardner. Now Colton Gardner looking inside of the number 8. He's going to be there. Colton Gardner's going to dive down low. It's going to wash up just a bit. They're door to door as they enter turn number 2. Move Colton Gardner back up to that 3rd place spot. We have Bill Mulfield fighting hard with that number 8 as well. Drivers are definitely more aggressive at the start of the second half than they were in the first half. We're seeing that on full display. Dylan Barron's actually way off the pace. Looks like he got super loose. They came off of turn number 4. Oh man, very tight racing between the 8, the 40, and the number 1 right now. Number 40 trying to make the outside line work. Might be able to get there. Not going to be clear just yet. The number 8's going to have a pretty big run. And Bill Mulfield now enters the party. We have a 4-horse race at the moment for this podium, final podium spots. The number 911 is going to get loose there just a tad bit, and that's going to kind of kill his momentum. Looks like they're going to calm down for just a tiny bit. Then Bill Mulfield way off the pace now as DJ Fluck enters the top 5. And Ian Miller, all this battling has allowed Ian Miller to actually drive away. Start to put a gap on the number 1, 40, number 8 machines. Lane Snow on pit road once again. Not really sure what happened this time. He blows past his box. Oh no, he doesn't. Never mind. They come off turn 4. Number 1 dives way to the inside to try and break the draft, but that's just going to allow the number 40 and the number 8 to get past him. So now the number 40 moves back up to that 2nd place spot, and the number 8 moves back to the 3rd place spot. Jumping back just a little bit, Bill Mulfield looking underneath of the number 88 of DJ Fluck is going to be able to get there. and take back that 5th place spot. And back up here, though, Brian McKinney. Oh, as we see Chris Hughes hit the wall there at turn number 4. We have 16 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. This gap now remaining at about 0.3 of a second. Just begs the question, did Brian McKinney push too hard too early? Are they trying to catch up to that number 48 machine? These two are fighting really hard. Bill Mulfield finding speed late in this race is underneath of the number 1 for 4th place. It's going to get there. The number 1 is going to try a bit of a crossover move as they go and head into turn number 4. Big crossover by the number 1. Bill Mulfield's going to give him the room, but is going to have the advantage.
Dylan, resistance was futile.
Mark Willett battling right now with DJ Fluck for that 6th and 7th position. The gap is starting to come down just a tad bit between the number 40 and the number 48. That last time by, the number 40 of Colton Gardner was 0.3 quicker than the 48 of Ian Miller. Colton Gardner is starting to dodge and weave all over the place to try and break up the draft between him and Brian McKinney. And now he's starting to get the draft of the number 48. So we might have a 3-horse battle. Actually, 2 horses and a Chevy for the end of this race. Oh, about a second to number 48. About half a second to the number 8. 11 laps to go here. They're so evenly spaced as of right now. We're going to take you. We're going to introduce one of our new segments for this season. And we are going to take you onto Turn It Up, presented by Stadium Scene TV. Here comes Colton Gardner looking to the inside of Ian Miller. Ian Miller able to hold on for right now, but how long is he going to be able to hold on? Only about 7 laps to go as they get ready to cross the line. Did Colton Gardner save his tires enough to be able to pounce at the right time? And does Ian Miller have the tires to be able to defend? At the moment, it looks like it, but we still have a lot of racing left. Colton Gardner gets a really good run out of turn 1, but it gets a little tight entering turn 2. It's able to reset the game of chess. The 170-mile-per-hour game of chess between the number 48 and the number 40, going back and forth, back and forth. There's also another game of chess going on between the number 1, the number 88, and the number 80. I don't want to think that I'm discrediting them. They're having a heck of a battle amongst themselves with these 3 cars. But the pressure is on for the lead. Can Ian Miller perform the Cinderella story and get his first win in the Wednesday night dash series. Can Colton Gardner strengthen his championship lead even more? They're side by side right now as they're coming to the line for 5 laps to go. 5 laps to go here. They are door to door as they enter turn 1. Ian Miller is going to enter a little high. Colton Gardner is not clear yet. Ian Miller is fighting super, super hard. Colton Gardner is still not clear. Ian Miller is going to have a good run. Colton Gardner, your leader right now. But Ian Miller still has some fight left in him. He's looking to the inside. So going to turn 3. There's still a lot of racing left. That gap has grown to about half a second. Four laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There's one heck of a battle happening between these three. DJ Fluck looks like he got out in front of the number 1 of Dylan Behrens. Good strong run by DJ Fluck, and is actually pulling away from the number 1 and the number 80. Oh, huge hit. The number 1 gets into the turn 1 wall. Turn 1 claims another victim, and the number 80 gets a little sideways there, but is able to keep it together. Looking back up front now. Colton Gardner weaving all across the track to try and break up that draft as much as he possibly can. That's 0.7 of a second now. That gap gaining ever so slightly. Does Ian Miller have anything left in the tank? We will see. Colton Gardner crosses the line, or is about to cross the line, for 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Gap is still maintained at about 0.8 a second. Ian Miller still hanging on to that draft, but just barely. As long as he keeps it within a second, he'll be able to keep that draft. As Colton Gardner comes around turn 4. And he is going to see the white flag. White flag presented by Stadium Scene TV. This is when Ian Miller really needs to push. He's pretty much got maybe 1 or 2 more shots at this. But Colton Gardner having one heck of a race. Didn't it seem like he was going to be able to get this one? Was kind of running second all race. But Colton Gardner is going to come through turn 4 for the final time here. And Colton Gardner is going to win here at Indianapolis. Good run by Colton Gardner. And Ian Miller is going to bring it home, position number 2. Brian McKinney is going to come home, P3. Bill Molfield's going to come home, P4. And we have a heck of a battle between DJ Fluck and Mark Willett coming to the line. Oh, man, that was really close. But DJ Fluck got him at the end. And your unofficial results here is Colton Gardner first, Ian Miller second, Brian McKinney third, Bill Molfield fourth, DJ Fluck fifth, Mark Willett sixth, Dylan Behrens seventh, John Miles eighth, Chris Fuge ninth, and Lane Snow rounds out the field in 10th. And what a fun and exciting race. So let's see who we can drag in here tonight. Nope. See who we can drag in here tonight. All right, starting off interviews tonight, I have DJ Fluck. DJ, you got yourself a top 5 tonight. How was your race?
It was a tale of two races tonight. The first half was really bad. I got caught up behind an incident. I wasn't involved, but it slowed me down that I fell behind. And second half, much better.
Definitely. You were making some moves, making some good passes there in the second half. Good, strong run tonight.
Yeah, and I want to shout out to Dylan. We had a really good battle there for a while, and I'm not sure what happened to him, but I made a move, and I saw he had to pit. So it's unfortunate it didn't make it to the end, but it was a really good battle for quite a while.
Yeah, it was you, Mark Willett, Dylan Behrens, and Bill Molfield was up in the mix too. You guys were having one heck of a battle for most of the second half of the race. And when I wasn't looking at the leaders battling, I was watching you guys battling. So good job tonight.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Ian Miller in the 48 machine. Ian Miller comes home second once again. Ian,
Yeah.
how was your race?
I think it felt pretty good. I felt like I had good control in the first half. Kind of fumbled my pit stop a little bit. And yeah, I think with a better run on the restart, maybe I would have had enough of a gap to be able to defend a little bit better. But as the track temp started going up, turn 1, I started just scrubbing more and more. And then that just bit me once Colton got up to me because he was able to brake later and turn harder. So, I think, good race from everyone all around. It was fun, running bumper to bumper with Colton like that for, all that race.
It was definitely really, really cool to see. It was kind of like the early 2000 or the early 2010s COT era where it was a bunch of 2-car tandems throughout the field. And you guys were definitely the story of the field tonight. I had a feeling it was going to be a tire issue. It seemed like Colton may have just was trying to save his tires better and was able to pounce when it counted.
Yeah, and I mean, so as I was watching my relative, I could just see Colton closing in the braking zones, and I'd get him running on the straights. But, once he got the draft on me, there was not much I could do at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was definitely a very, very fun race to watch. And I know you're gonna break through and get your first win here eventually.
Yeah, either here or in Indy.
Yeah, well, that's all I have for you tonight, Ian.
Yeah, have a good one.
Yep, you too. And our winner tonight is Mr. Colton Gardner. Colton, in the beginning of the second half, I was a little worried there. You fell to 4th place and was having a bit of an issue making your way back up through the field, but got through it eventually, and you're sitting here in victory lane. So tell me about your race.
Well, it was also a tale of two races. First half, I just was staying behind Ian, trying to keep my stuff in check and see where he was getting loose and everything. He was starting to get loose up off the corners, and going into 3-1 time, I missed my braking point, and I tried my best not to hit him. I tapped him a little bit, but then the car wouldn't turn and got tight and went into the wall. Messed up the toe link for the second straight week in a row. But luckily, we were able to come down pit road and fix that. But second half of the race, once Brian got up into P1, I just wanted to try and play it safe in the beginning of stage 2 and try and pick my way through the field a little bit. Hoping that Ian didn't get too far ahead. But Ian had really good pace tonight. Brian had really good pace in that second half, and it was fun to race him also. And just props to Ian, the road guy, coming over here, and he's learning ovals really, really well. I'm glad whenever I got into him, I didn't spin him. I would have felt really bad about that. But yeah, once his tires started to go away, I was able to chip off a little bit of a time at a time and get up there to him.
Yeah, I think that was definitely just probably a tire saving experience there. But yeah, the first half contact, I didn't, like, I know both of you drivers aren't malicious in any way, so I didn't think there was any malicious intent between that, but it kind of looked like from my angle that Ian Miller kind of threw a block on you there, and it was almost like you weren't expecting it, but maybe that could be totally wrong.
Yeah, like somebody said in the chat after that, or like the driver chat in the game, someone said expect the unexpected, and I'm like, yeah, this is racing. You gotta expect the unexpected. um, but I probably should have chilled out going into that corner a little bit, expecting a little bit of a block. But I also was trying something different in that corner. I was trying to run his line, seeing if I could get a bite off and get to his inside before turn 4. And whenever I did that, I wasn't expecting him to like one check up so much, and it was on me all the way though. So
Yeah, well, at least nobody's race was ended from that. Well, next week we head to next week we head to Texas, which is going to be interesting in these next gen cars. How you feeling about Texas?
It being updated Texas, I'm not really too sure about it. I'm not a big fan of turn 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I mean, it's the same as it was before the repave. But 1 and 2 is going to be really difficult to try and figure out the best line to get through there because it's so wide, and you can either hug the bottom or you can wrap around the top and get a heck of a run down the back stretch. But I've not done many races there. I'm going to be doing a lot of testing, and hopefully we're going to be ready for that next week.
Definitely. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. Congratulations on the win, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Oh, yes, sir. And if I could, I'd like to shout out my cousin Branson Holmes. He's been at me the last few weeks. If I was given an interview to give him a shout out, him and his family was really supportive in a really difficult time, and it was really, really cool to have family with you during a tough time like that. And I'd like to thank French Broad Fire and Rescue and Jiffy Lube, Castle Garen Creations, Carolina Legion, Good Clean Humor, Dubby, and Moza. Glad to have everybody with us and thank them for their support. And yeah, we'll see you at Texas.
See you there. All right, well, that is all I have for tonight. We had a really good, fun race. Remember, come back next week, same time, same place. We'll be at Texas Motor Speedway. It's definitely going to be really fun. My name is Hunter Hughes, and I called for tonight, and I will see you all next week. Bye.